There is no shortage of options when it comes to sniper rifles in Warframe. You have your Vectis Prime, your Lanka, your Rubico, but today we're talking about an MR7 weapon that can still pack one serious punch. Hey guys, hello and welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're talking about the Vulkar Wraith, a weapon that can only be obtained from Baro the Void Trader. With a mastery lockout of 7, this baby can still get you through any endgame that Warframe can put out there, at least for now. Please keep in mind that my builds and my guides usually take a more new player-friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of information here that most of the time simply gets skipped over, and I feel that I should cover it. So veterans of the game, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, why don't we jump into the Vulkar Wraith. Without any mods equipped, the Vulkar Wraith has 3 levels of zoom. You have your 2.5x with 35% extra headshot damage, your 4.0x with 55% extra headshot damage, and of course the 8x, which gives you a whopping 70% extra headshot damage. Now, one very important factor to any sniper rifles is the graphics on the scope, and this is gonna be entirely subjective, but this is the one thing that really bothers me about this sniper rifle. Or the yellow and the moving around when I zoom in is a little bit distracting. Also, please keep in mind that any sniper rifle has a combo system to it. As you can see just under my scope, if you take a look there, I got a 1.5x combo. Now, to get the combo going on the Vulkar Wraith, you're gonna need 2 shots. Keep in mind that multi-shot does apply when building up your combo, and this is damage without any sorts of mods equipped, just for the sake of presentation. Now, the way the combo system works in very short terms, you wanna hit as much as you can, get it as high as you can, and keep it there. If you don't hit anything, you will see that the combo counter goes down, and again you need 2 hits on a target to get the combo rolling. That being said, let's take a look at those base stats. We got an accuracy of 13.3, which is standard mostly for sniper rifle, a critical chance of 20%, which is okay, and a critical multiplier that is again okay-ish at 2.0x. Most sniper rifles, most of them, unless I'm missing something, are critical weapons that are supposed to kill the target really quickly. 1-2 shots. That's the idea behind a sniper rifle. Fall off is pretty much standard, fire rate is 2.0, and the magazine size is 8. So let's take a quick look at how the fire rate aligns to the recoil. I'm mashing my button right now, and I can still kind of get consistent hits on the point I want to. Let's try it like this, and again, we'll be mashing our button simply to see if the recoil lines up perfectly to the fire rate. And it kind of does for the Vulkar Wraith. It's gonna depend on how far your target is from you. In our case, like trying to hit this point right here, is 33 meters. So the fire rate aligns quite nicely on this weapon to the recoil it has. Moving on, noise alarming because, well, it's a sniper rifle. Punch through is 1.0. This is the default punch through. It does have a little bit. It's gonna come in useful sometimes, especially when enemies are clumped up together, or perhaps you have some crowd control on them, like a Vauban or a Nidus, just to clump them all nicely together. Reload is 3.0. Now, reload is not exactly great. 3 seconds is a long time to reload your sniper rifle, especially if you're doing something like an eidolon, because that is currently a primary use for sniper rifles. However, we do have a pretty solid magazine clip size of 8, so it kind of balances out like that. Riven disposition is a whopping 5 out of 5. Apparently this weapon is not very popular, or better said, the Riven disposition hasn't really been updated yet, so the Rivens will be super powerful for this weapon. Status chance is 25%, which is actually pretty good. Of course, the trigger semi, and the default damage on the Vulkar Wraith is impact and puncture. There is no slash here. However, that doesn't mean we can't get a little bit of slash out of it, and we'll exemplify that just a little bit later. Now, you have a mod capacity of 60 out of 60. You get this one by jumping into actions and installing an Orochian Catalyst. This one can be obtained from alerts, invasions, or if you're lucky, from the daily sortie, if you have access to that one yet. Another aspect to the build is the fact that the weapon has been formatted a total of 5 times. Now, I did this for the sake of testing, and because I have a Riven, you guys should be able to get away with only 4 formats. So let's slap on some mods. The first thing we do with any weapon is slap on flat damage, and we're gonna go with Serration. This is the rifle mod, 165% extra damage. It will amplify the base impact and puncture. If you guys have prime versions of any of the mods that I recommend, then by all means go right on ahead and use your prime versions. Do we have other options when it comes to damage? Yes, we do. You can go for something like Bane of the Grineer or Prime Bane of the Grineer or Bane of the whatever you are hitting. I don't really like to use these mods in general, so I kind of recommend most people stay away from them. Heavy Caliber, what an awesome mod this is. I love Heavy Caliber. On certain assault rifles, on a weapon that is supposed to be precise and get headshots constantly, I do not recommend Heavy Caliber unless you can get the accuracy back up with some sort of Riven mod or something like that. So we did add our damage. Why don't we go on through and add a little bit of multi-shot. Multi-shot is extremely important currently in Warframe. It's probably one of the best things you can put on any weapon. Split chamber is the standard rifle mod for multi-shot, and it's gonna give you 90% extra multi-shot. It's not a lot, 90%, but we do have one additional option, and that is Vigilante Armaments. Now, Vigilante Armaments adds 60% multi-shot, and on rifles, because split chamber only gives you 90, it becomes a bit more powerful. And again, we're talking about crits here, so the set bonus will become useful. Well, I gotta be honest with you, no, not really. The set bonus in our case is not gonna be extremely useful because we don't do 1,000 shots. Even with multi-shot, we're gonna hit a target 2 to 3 times. Maybe if you have a Riven 4, so you're not gonna see that many crit ranks up from the set bonus of Vigilante Armaments. But still, the base multi-shot it offers is more than worth it. Now, we did say that these are crit weapons primarily, so why don't we add a little bit of more crit? The standard rifle crit mod is Point Strike, and it will add 150 extra critical chance. Now that is a huge amount, and that is not your only options. When it comes to additional crit, you have Argon Scope. The base build I'm going to be recommending will not include Argon Scope simply because this is an expensive mod. It's 250 off the trade chat, maybe if you're lucky 200, and I don't recommend expensive mods, but it will be a part of our Riven setup, like going all out with max damage and all whatnot. You can add even more critical chance to your rifle with something like critical delay, 48% critical chance, but it costs fire rate. Considering how well the recoil lines up to the fire rate on this weapon, I simply do not like critical delay. I like to use this one more on the Snipetron Vandal, but definitely not on the Vulkar Wraith. If you guys want more crit though, you can go for this one. Just keep in mind, it's only 48% compared to 150 that the standard version of Point Strike gives you. Not really worth, at least not if you ask me. Now that we have a high critical chance of 50%, we can add some critical damage. Pointless to have crit chance without crit damage unless you're going for Hunter Munitions, and we're gonna be talking about that just a bit later. So the crit damage mod for rifles, the standard one is called Vital Sense, and it's 120% critical damage. That is a huge amount, and it made our critical multiplier jump from 2.0x to 4.4x just with Vital Sense alone. That being said, it would be roughly around this point when you should be looking to amplify your damage with elemental damage. Elemental damage should always be applied depending on where you're going, who you're fighting, or what kind of build are you running. In our case, we're gonna take the example of the Grineer. The Grineer are heavily armored targets, and against heavily armored targets, you want to use corrosive damage. Corrosive damage does 75% extra against these targets. When adding corrosive damage, or any elemental damage, you have two options. You can either go for the 90% mods, or you can go for the 60-60 mods. The 60-60 mods do add less damage, but they add a big status chance as well, 60%. Now on a sniper rifle, that again doesn't do that many strikes, and theoretically your target should be dead by the time any much status is applied to them. The 60-60 mods are not necessarily ideal unless, again, we are trying something with Hunter Munitions, and we're gonna cover that just a little bit later. For the standard version, I'm gonna recommend you guys go for the flat 90 mods because they simply give more damage, and we're not really interested on applying a status effect. Again, we don't hit that target too many times before it dies, so status doesn't really work out all that well on sniper rifles. So for now, at least, we're gonna run a simulation with the 90 mods. We got our electricity, and in order to make corrosion, we're gonna need a bit of toxin as well with infected clip. Now we got our 90 mods, we got our corrosive at 3.2k. The last mod for most builds I recommend is an option mod. Here is more about your personal preference and how you like to play. And before you scream at me, hammer shot is one of those options, definitely. It will add critical damage. It makes our combo multiplier jump from 4.4 to 5.6, so our critical hits will be all the more potent. And it adds some status chance as well. The status chance is not the focus here, but the critical damage is nice. What other options are there? Like I said earlier, you can go for something expensive like Argon Scope. If you have it, then by all means, Argon Scope is gonna prove the option you want to have. But let's assume we don't have it. Let's run with Hammer Shot. Another option would be to further amplify the type of damage you are trying to build. If you're trying to build gas or trying to build corrosive or whatnot, just add a 60-60 mod that will further amplify that damage. In our case, it's corrosive, so we can either add electricity to amplify it, or we can add toxin. We're gonna add toxin because, well, the results would be exactly the same between adding malignant force or high voltage, but malignant force is a whole lot more cheap, and you will see now that our corrosive jumped by about 1.1k. Let me see, is that correct? Yes, 1.1k extra corrosive damage. Status chance jumped as well. As you can see, 40% status chance versus 60% status chance, but our critical multiplier is down to 4.4x. Now, for a standard build, in testing, this has proved the most efficient, and this is what I recommend as a starter build. Again, Malignant Force is easy to obtain, or if you can be arsed to farm it, you can simply buy it off the trade chat. You can pay 10 plat, maximum of 15. And this is what we're gonna run for our initial test. Then we're gonna switch up the build and try something a little different. Let's kill off these guys and re-simulate. What we got here is Corrupted Heavy Gunner level 115. Now let's try to build all combo counter up, and we're gonna go strictly for headshots with an 8x scope, because again, this is the maximum amount the weapon can do. You will see that as soon as our combo counter goes up, so will our damage. So it is vital to any sniper rifle to keep that combo counter up. We even got some procs there, and the reload. As you can see, the weapon does pack a serious punch. Now it does have that default 1 meter punch through, which caused our combo counter to go up all the faster. You see, we got 3.0x, 57 hits rather quickly. So that default punch through does definitely come in useful. Now that is one way you can go about it, and that's usually my preferred way, as I'm kinda tired of slashing targets which are supposed to be dead already. But we can go for another build, a hunter munitions build, something focused around hunter munitions. So first of all, we're gonna get rid of Malignant Force and apply hunter munitions. 30% chance to apply a slash status on an enemy on critical hit. What is our critical hit counter? Well, it's only 50%, and we don't have any default slash either. Does that mean that hunter munitions won't work? Yes, it will. It definitely will. Now, it's a known fact that it's a good idea to play viral damage together with a slash build. So ideally what we want to do is get rid of the corrosive and put in some viral. Would it be effective? Well, I guess it's best to show you. So we're gonna get rid of infected clip. Actually, no. Yes, no, we're gonna keep infected clip. We're gonna get rid of Stormbringer, and what we're gonna be putting in is called, the combination for viral is called Antoxin, because brrr, and I'm sick. Viral jumped up to 3.2k. Now let's test it a little bit out like this. We got our hunter munitions on, we got our crits, we got everything. Why don't we test it? Kill the remnants if there is any and respawn. And we can hit them from over here without any sorts of issue. Now there's one thing I would like you guys to notice, and that is how often we get a viral proc and how often we get a slash. No slash. No slash. Ah, a viral proc. There you go, we got a viral proc right there, and that is a red quick from the multi-shot. Oh, we got a viral and a slash. Look at the damage ticking away. The point I'm trying to make here, that this is not very consistent. This is a possible build you can go for. Look, an impact proc. Simply, it is not consistent enough for me to recommend it, at least not on this weapon. How about point blank? You would like it like this more? Nope. Oh, a slash proc, there we go, a slash proc, amazing damage. When it does go off, it does do a lot of damage. Are you comfortable though with it being this inconsistent, that's gonna be up to you. I'm simply outlining a build and you get to choose. Oh my god, that slash proc so good. On the crit, it was a red crit, orange crit slash proc, and it just destroyed the target. Another thing you should have noticed by now is how inconsistent the viral proc is on the target. And you gotta get both together and only to get the full benefit. You need the viral to reduce the health of the targets by 50%, and you're gonna need the slash to proc as well. Not all that consistent. There we go. And you'll also notice that at least for these targets, the slash will kill them without the viral, without much issue. When it does proc, it's amazing. When it doesn't proc, well, it's completely useless. How can we fix that? How can I get Hunter Munitions to perform better on this? How can it be more consistent? Well, there is a couple of ways. Let's keep in mind that first and foremost, Hunter Munitions will does have a 30% chance on a crit. So the way we could amplify that is increasing our crit. And the way viral gets applied is through status chance and the amount of viral you have. We can fix that by getting rid of the 90 mods and going for the 60-60 mods. Going for the 60-60 mods will buff up our status chance, so therefore theoretically at least more viral procs. Yes, though we are sacrificing a little bit of damage. So we're gonna go with Malignant Force. As for the 60-60 mod for cold, that is going to be Rime Rounds. 60% cold and 60% status chance. We still have our viral. It's not as big, 2.1k, but we do have a much larger status chance at 86.4%. And we're gonna keep Hunter Munitions on. We still haven't fixed the issue with getting more slashes on the target. We can do that by either a larger critical chance or more multi-shot, more hits on the target, more chances to crits, and when it does crit, more chances for Hunter Munitions. You see, this is why I don't like a build like this. Too many ifs and buts. But there is that, especially if you have a Riven, and if you can further augment that to get more consistent crits, then definitely. Now, we don't care that much about critical damage, so we can swap out critical damage. We are gonna kill our targets not through the impact damage, but through the slashes, and we can put in something like, what was it called? Critical delay, I believe. Yes, we can switch these two out if we so desire. However, if I do that without testing it first, people are probably gonna scream at me. So for now, let's go like this, and then we're gonna try to further augment this slash build. Spawn in the exact same set, and let's see if we can get more consistent. Whoa, what are you doing there? Damn it, kill, simulate. Let's try to see if we can get more consistent procs. Oh, there we go right there. That is a viral proc, more consistent, still no slash. Viral, damn it. The point I am trying to make with this build is because I see a lot of guys wanting to see this build in action. Why don't you use Hunter Munitions? This is why I do not use Hunter Munitions normally on sniper rifles. It is not consistent. We got a slash proc, but no viral there. Slash should be able to kill it all by itself. 19k almost crits. Impact proc. Slash proc now. And a viral proc, but the slash proc is in the target behind him because of the punch through, and the viral is in the target in the front. I think this exemplifies very well how inconsistent a build like this is. And again, it's gonna come down to you. If you're okay, oh, there we go, viral and slash, yes please. Yes, that was viral and slash, and it absolutely wrecked the target. It is beautiful when it happens, but when it doesn't happen, you basically are left with a couple of useless mods on the build. So that's another option if you so desire. Why don't we amplify the crit now so we can get more slash procs? At least in theory we can get more slash procs. Like I said, Vital Sense is not necessary in this case. We're not gonna kill our target with critical damage. We're gonna kill it with slashes. In putting this on, we get about a 9% extra, which is really not all that hot. In all honesty, it's too low. What about if you guys have Argon Scope? Okay, I'm trying to give this build the best chance it has at winning. There we go. 145% extra crit while aiming for 9 seconds on headshot. So we got a larger crit pool. That means more chances for Hunter Munitions to apply its slash status. Will it work better? Well, one way to find out. There we go. Crit with viral on the target, and as you can see, the slash amounts are smaller, and the viral ran out before the target died. That is because, well, we did give up some damage for that critical damage, so there is that to take into account. We got crit and viral on the target, so the health is reduced by 50%, and the slash procs unfortunately aren't as strong as before. If you take away multi-shot from the build with Vigilante armaments, because some of you might be thinking that, well, it's still not gonna be that great, because in a taking away multi-shot, again, you take additional chances for your slashes to proc. And there you go, this is how the slash build works, at least with this weapon. From my point of view, it is inconsistent, and the build I'm recommending you is simply with flat out corrosive, again, against the Grineer. If you're going against something else, for example the Corpus faction, you can go for a gas build, and that will prove more efficient than going with corrosive. Again, against Corpus. If you're going against the infested, use whatever you desire. Mostly fire is more than enough to take care of them. That's gonna do it for the stock build, let's call it like that. We're gonna switch now to my Riven setup. I do have a Riven for this one, managed to get it from a friend, thank you very much. This one is actually quite good against Grineer, not so hot versus Eidolon though, because versus Eidolon what you guys want to do is build radiation damage. Unfortunately, the Vulkar Wraith is not the best weapon to go hunt Eidolon. I would recommend the Lanka or the Vectis Prime for such endeavors. We got Toxin Electricity, critical damage, a lot of critical damage, and minus damage to Corpus, which is not a bad negative to have, considering Corpus die from mostly anything, especially if you build gas. In any case, our critical multiplier jumped to 8.0x. That is a huge critical multiplier. I popped in Argon Scope, and we still keep Vigilante armaments and one at the 90% mod. So in essence, I just dropped one 90% mod and swapped in Argon Scope, and of course the Riven as well. And let's see what kind of a difference we can get with a Riven. Let's clear up the remnants. Let's try it from here again, 8x. As per the usual, Rivens do make one hell of a difference. Do you need a Riven to be effective with the Vulkar Wraith? No, definitely not. You can use the standard build, and it will give you more than enough firepower to handle mostly anything. And keep in mind, where exactly are you gonna see level 100 plus heavy gunners, or corrupted heavy gunners in our case, which have a whole lot more armor and a whole lot more health? How often do you see these targets, in all honesty? Perhaps in the new Onslaught game mode, yes, that's where some of this extra firepower will become even more potent. But other than that, when doing day-to-day missions, you don't really need this much potency. However, if you guys are interested in getting a Riven for yourself, currently Vulkar Rivens, because Baro just brought the Vulkar Wraith, currently go for 100 to 150. 100 you can get a crappy one, 150 to 200 you can get an unrolled Vulkar Riven. Head on over to Riven Market and check out the prices. One last note I would like to make about the Vulkar Wraith is that 3-second reload time. Now the magazine clip of 8 more than makes up for it, but there is a way to fix the reload, which is a bit long, without having to sacrifice any mods for it. You can use an arcane. This one is called Arcane Momentum. On critical hit, which we do plenty of, 40% chance for plus 100 reload speed to sniper rifles for 8 seconds, and of course the usual plus 1 arcane revive. This one is super cheap. If you want to get the R free from the trade chat, you're looking at about 30, 35, maximum 40 plat. If you want to farm it, it drops from the terror list. That is the first Eidolon down on Cetus. And that is the last tip I got for you guys. Okay, one more tip. There is one way to further increase the damage of sniper rifles, especially if you're going against Eidolon. This is kind of common knowledge, but you might not know about it. This one is called Deadeye. Now, Deadeye is an aura, so it will affect all your party members. Sniper rifle damage is increased by 52.5%. So if you want to go all out with sniper rifle damage, definitely pick up Deadeye and slap it onto your Warframe of choice. And well, I believe that's gonna do it for this build guide. As for the Vulkar Wraith, I do love this weapon to death. It has replaced the Vectis Prime as my ordinary day-to-day sniper on everything except Eidolon hunting, where I still use the Vectis. Simply because this one has a Riven disposition of 5 out of 5, and the power of the Riven simply puts it over, at least for me. For you it might be different, it really depends on what kind of Riven you get, and I don't really like to recommend Rivens as I believe them to be a bit overkill. But that's gonna do it for now. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any feedback for me or would like to request specific weapon builds, by all means leave it in the comment section down below. I'll make sure to read each and every comment. And you can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. But until next time guys, bye bye!